So recently, the Relic of Knowledge has been passed around quite a bit. In the span of just over half a season, it's gone from being in Oscar's possession, to Neo's, to Cinder, to Salem, and now back to Neo again. And I really think that Neo is going to be the one to use this last question. She's certainly going to be able to get the Relic away from Salem, considering that Salem's a bit, preoccupied at the moment, and none of Salem's lieutenants are actually there to stop Neo. Tyrion and Mercury have already gone off to Vacuo, Cinder is currently with Watts on the warpath to Penny, and Hazel is the one fighting against Salem at the moment. Not to mention Emerald has already defected, and the Hound is currently dead. Now, I will mention that Salem could have another Hound or two waiting in the back wings, but I don't think her experimentation has gone that far to be able to mass produce the Hounds yet, but it's certainly a possibility. Regardless, I think it's safe to say that Neo will be able to escape with the Relic of Knowledge in hand. The only question that remains is if Neo can actually access the Relic. She can certainly ask a question of Jinn once she's summoned, because Jinn, being the all-knowing being that she is, I'm sure she could read a question if it's written down on a piece of paper. The problem is, say her name to summon her. This is the instruction that Oscar gave to RWBY to be able to summon Jinn in the first place. You have to say her name, and Neo being mute will not be able to do that. Now, if one of my previous theories is true, then Neo might not actually be mute and would be able to summon the Relic, given some circumstances. But if Neo is mute, then that's going to pose a few problems for Neo being able to ask Jinn a question. If Jinn can respond to the will of the person holding the Relic of Knowledge, then that would be another way for her to be summoned. But so far, we haven't seen that to be the case, so I'm curious to see how everything's going to play out. What question, though, is Neo going to ask? Well, there is literally only one thing Neo would ask about. The only thing that has mattered to Neo throughout the entire time we've seen her in the RWBY series. Roman Torchwick. When Neo was introduced in Volume 2, she was attached at the hip to Roman, and when she was reintroduced in Volume 6, the only thing she cared about, the only reason she joined up with Cinder in the first place, was to get revenge for Roman. Her goals have not deviated from that. Now that she knows that Cinder really doesn't care about what Neo wants, that she's just an asset, Neo's going off on her own to find out what really happened. And I fully believe that Neo will ask the question, what happened to Roman at the fall of Beacon Academy, to find out for herself, and I'm thinking and hoping that we will get a vision from Jinn that shows what happened to Roman afterwards. Perhaps after being swallowed by the Griffin, he was able to break free and now is somewhere in Vacuo. That would make sense given that it is the more lawless of the kingdoms where Roman would easily be able to disappear and hide and possibly even restart his criminal organization. So I think that we're going to see that Roman is alive. There's also the possibility that the Griffin that swallowed Roman took him to Salem, though I don't see why that would be the case. I don't think every Grimm out there that swallows a human is going to bring it right to Salem's doorstep like a cat bringing home a dead mouse or anything like that, but it's certainly a possibility. I think that Roman, considering he was swallowed with his cane, would be able to blast his way out of the Griffin after it escaped from the ship's crash, and was able to survive, and now Neo will find out that not only is he alive, but where he headed afterwards. And to this end, I think we are also going to get Neo's backstory. That we're going to have an episode, hopefully in Volume 8, considering we're all going to want to find out what happens with the Relic of Knowledge, where Neo is headed, etc. But I think we will get Neo's backstory, in a similar fashion to how we got Cinder's backstory. In the first half or opening of an episode, we will see Neo's past, how she became mute, how she met Roman, and why he means so much to her, leading into the second half of the episode where Neo is asking the question of the Relic of Knowledge, revealing that Roman is alive, and giving some closure to Neo or giving her a new goal to head towards, likely headed to Vacuo to find out where Roman is, because I have a full theory video breaking down why I think Roman's alive. It doesn't really make sense that he is dead, etc., but this is the only question I think Neo could ask, because the only thing that matters to Neo is Roman Torchwick. That is literally what the song One Thing is sung about. It is from Neo's perspective, and presumably Neo's theme song, but it is all about how important Roman is to her, and without him, now that he is taken away, she has nothing left. So there is no other question that Neo would ask of Jinn. It's just how she's going to be able to summon Jinn in the first place that I'm kind of curious about. Because with Roman being her one and only thing in this world, she doesn't really have anyone that she can trust well enough with the last question of an ancient relic given to humanity by the gods themselves. I feel like, one, that would sell for a lot on the black market, so anyone would try to steal it just for that alone, not to mention if they had some question they wanted to ask themselves, there'd be a lot of people wanting to ask a question from the relic. And also, to that end, a lot of people wanting to steal the relic from Neo, she's not going to wait to ask that question. She's going to summon Jinn as soon as she can, ask that question, get her answers, and then probably try to get the heck out of Dodge from Atlas, because, well, Atlas is going to be coming down at some point within the next 5 episodes. Considering that Salem brought her entire army and came in person for the sole purpose of obtaining the Relic of Creation, I don't think she would just turn around and leave as long as the relic is still sealed within the vault. So regardless of how this plays out, whether Salem gets the relic or someone from Team RWBY's faction does, the relic will be removed from Atlas and Atlas will fall. And Neo has really no reason to stick around. Now that she has the Relic of Knowledge, she can ask her question, get her information, and she doesn't support really either side, so she's not just going to sit there and wait for catastrophe to happen. She's going to try and leave. She's already a pretty good pilot. She could just steal really any ship that she comes across and get the heck out of there. Now, there is one other possibility that could happen if Neo truly is mute and she isn't able to summon Jinn. She could bring the relic to RWBY and Oscar and make an exchange, saying, you give me this last question of the lamp, and I will give you the lamp afterwards. Neo doesn't care about the lamp itself, she only cares about, as I've said numerous times this video, the one thing that is important to her. And this could be kind of a truce of sorts between RWBY herself and Neo, as well as Oscar, the rest of that faction, that Neo only has that one important thing to her. You can have the relic, the thing that has the potential to, well, end the world, which I'm sure Neo doesn't want the world ended, though if she really is left with nothing, then she may not care at that point. There's still a few things up in the air, but I think Neo could bring the relic to Team RWBY to try to get that last question and have them allow her to ask that last question. That would be an interesting way things would play out, and Neo certainly won't be joining Team RWBY or Ozpin's faction. I don't think that scenario is going to play out, but I think she would become more of a third party, a party that might end up joining up for the final fight in Vacuo and potentially at Beacon as well, depending on how things play out. And I'd be really curious to see if Emerald decided to go with her at that point. And if they got to Vacuo and Roman is alive, they would of course try to persuade Mercury from Salem's faction, because Mercury doesn't really want the world ended either. He was more monetarily motivated than Emerald was. Emerald was in it to support Cinder. Mercury was in it for his own gain. Now that the world's going to be destroyed, there is nothing to gain. I don't think he's going to be supporting that, and I could see Roman, Neo, Emerald, and Mercury forming up their own little team, which would be interesting in and of itself. But other than that, that's really my rambling, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think that Neo will be asking this last question at some point this volume? How do you think she's going to be able to summon Jinn? Do you think that she may not actually be mute, that she will find some way to summon a Jinn, or perhaps bring the relic to Team RWBY as a peace offering? In exchange for the last question, she will give them the relic. And she will ask about Roman Torchwick. Now, for Neo's backstory, not really sure on what her backstory could be other than the connection to Bartleby at Brunswick Farms. I think that still has a connection to Roman and Neo based on the children that were shown in that picture, and the numbers on the volumes that Maria read on Bartleby's journal, that were volumes 1, 3, 6, and 8, do kind of connect with Neo and Roman's story, that Roman was introduced in Volume 1. In Volume 3, he supposedly died. In Volume 6, Neo returned. And in Volume 8, the volume that was tossed away, well, this could be Neo's fresh start, walking away from the life of crime and going to find Roman, the one person that she cares about, something Something like that, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, what you guys think will happen with Neo moving forward. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and join the Guild of the Eternal Flame. Tweet me at PhoenixKnight7, and I'll see you guys in the next video.